So today we are going to start with the circulatory system, and these are the learning objectives. At the end of this tutorial, students will be able to state the components of the circulatory system, describe the heart of mammals, describe the compartments of the heart, the types of circulation. Students will be able to know about blood, the components and their function, and students will be able to know about the blood group that we have and the matching of those blood groups that we have. So let's start with the introduction. What is circulatory system? It is the transport system of the body. It is the one that transports substances within the body, mainly within the blood. So it carries nutrients, oxygen, water, hormones, antibodies to the tissues. After the tissues have made use of the nutrients, at the end of the day, waste will be produced, and that waste will be removed from where they are produced, that means their site of production, to their site of excretion, to the point where they are being taken out of the body. So it transports waste like CO2, urea, creatine, etc. The circulatory system, it consists of three main components. We have the blood, the fluid that has to travel substances. These substances are found in this fluid. But most often, WAEC we ask, name 5 substances that are found in the blood. So in that case, you have to name all what it carries, like the nutrients we call the oxygen, the water, hormones, antibodies, and even the waste, CO2, urea, creatine. These are all found in the blood, as we say it carries them. And we have the heart that has to pump the blood. And we have the blood vessels in which the blood are found in. So the blood are transported in an enclosed vessel we call blood vessel. So it is the transport tubes in which the blood will travel. So now let's talk about briefly about the heart, mainly its location, the muscle it is made up of, and how many times it beats per minute. So the heart is located under the breastbone. That means just beneath the sternum that we have. Here, as you can observe it in this diagram here, beneath it, we have this red structure you are seeing here. This is the heart. And if you observe on this other diagram here, the heart is between the right lung and the left lung that we have here. So it is found between the lungs that we have. And when you observe the heart also, it is between the second ribs. This is the first one above, and this is the second one just below the first one. Between the second rib and the sixth rib is where you can find the heart. And the heart is more of the left. Two-thirds of it is on the left. Only one-third is found on the right side. So most of the heart is located on the left side than the right side. And now let's talk about the chambers of the heart. So let's start with the class Pisces, which we have the fishes. So the Pisces, they have two chambers hearts. They have the atrium and they have the ventricle. For them, they don't have the right and left atrium. They just have atrium and ventricle. And the amphibians, they have three chambers hearts. For them, they have the left and the right atrium, and they have one ventricle. So they have the left and the right atrium, and they have a ventricle. And we have the reptiles. The reptiles also, they have three chambers hearts, except for crocodile that is having four chambers hearts. The three chambers heart that we have in reptiles is slightly differ with what we have in amphibians. In reptiles, we have a septum that is dividing the left ventricle from the right ventricle. But that septum is just dividing it midway, not completely dividing it. That's why in some textbook they can say they have 3.5 heart chambers, because that septum is not dividing the heart completely as we have in the reptiles. So in that case, there is a mixing of the oxygenated blood that is having a lot of oxygen, and deoxygenated blood in which the oxygen has been removed and used by the body tissues or the body cells that we have. So when the oxygen are being removed from the blood and they are being used by the cells, after that, that blood is being referred to as deoxygenated blood, as the D means to remove. And we have the mammals and we have the aves, in which we have the birds. They have four chambers heart. They have the left and the right atrium, and they have the left and the right ventricle. So for them, the left and the right ventricle, the septum that is dividing them, it is completely dividing it. Not as in the case of we have in reptiles, in which it is just dividing it halfway, not completely dividing it. So in mammals and aves, there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. We are going to talk about the blood. So the blood by color, it is red in color, and by pH, it is slightly alkaline in nature, and it accounts for about 7.7% of the total body weight. For a male having a body weight of 70 kg, the total amount of blood that they will have in their body for a normal range, it is between 5 to 6 liter. For female, they have a normal range of 4.5 to 5.5 liter, slightly less than the one that we have in male. And blood, based on the amount of oxygen that they are having, we have oxygenated blood that is having a lot of oxygen in it, that is just coming from the lungs, not being used by the body tissues yet. That blood is being referred to as oxygenated blood, and they are being carried in the arteries, except the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood, and the oxygenated blood is bright red in color. And we have the deoxygenated blood. D means to remove. So in this case, the oxygen has been removed and being used by the body cells. So since this one, it lacks oxygen, it is called deoxygenated. That means the oxygen has been removed from it. And the deoxygenated blood, they are being carried mainly in the veins, except one vein that is carrying oxygenated blood, that is the pulmonary vein. It carries oxygenated blood. You have to take note of that one. And the blood that are found in the vein, they are dark red. Forget about the picture that you are seeing here, in which you can see it that they are having the blue color. In reality, they are having a dark red color. In your textbook, you can see the blue. Now let's talk about the main blood vessels that we have in the body. We have the artery, we have the vein, and we have the capillary. The artery, it is bright red in color. The vein, they are dark red in color. The artery is having a thick wall. Just observe the wall of this one and observe the wall of this one. So comparatively, the artery is having a thick wall. The vein is having a thinner wall compared with the artery. And the artery is having a small lumen. The artery is having a small lumen, while the vein is having a large lumen. The other difference between the artery and the artery are deeply located. That means they are located right inside the body. And the vein on the skin, they are superficially located. That means they are located very close to the surface of the skin. While the artery, they are deeply located. And you have to know all artery, they carry blood away from the heart. And all veins, they carry blood to the heart. So blood returns to the heart through the vein and it moves away from the heart through the artery. So the veins, they carry blood to the heart, while the artery, they carry blood away from the heart. Arteries transport oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery, while the veins, they transport deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. So now let's talk about composition of the blood. Now the blood, as we say, 7.7% of the total body weight is made up of blood. So the blood, let's take it as 100% now. 55% of it is made up of plasma, and 45% of the blood is made up of red blood cells, and less than 1% is made up of the white blood cells and the platelet that we have in the body. In the plasma, we have water in there. In fact, 90% of the plasma is made up of water. The remaining 5%, they are the protein, the salt, the glucose, the waste that we have, and the gases that are being transported. And the gas that is being transported in the plasma is CO2 mainly. And the red blood cells, RBC, it is the one that transports oxygen. Oxygen are not being transported in the plasma. They are being transported in the red blood cells. But CO2 is being transported mainly in the plasma. And the white blood cells, they are there for defense. That means they help to protect the body against infection. And the platelet that we have, it is used to form clot. For example, if you have a wound, clotting has to occur. A clot will be formed to prevent the loss of blood from the body. That healing process that occur when you have a wound is what we call clotting. So when that clot is being formed, one, it will promote healing, and two, it will even prevent microorganisms from entering through that wound. As we have here in this test tube that we have here, you can see 55% of the total blood, and this one less than 1% made up of leukocytes. That is the other name for white blood cells. And we have platelet. Another name for it is called thrombocytes. And we have erythrocytes. Another name for it is called red blood cell, which which account for 45% of the total blood. As you can see it here, the plasma is this one that is having the yellow color, and this layer that is in between the yellow color and the red color, most often here you can see they call it a buffy coat that is having this pale white color. It is made up of the leukocyte and the platelet, and they consist of less than 1% of the total blood that we have in the body. And the red one here, that is the red blood cells, also called erythrocyte. It consists of 45% of the total blood that we have in the body. So now let's talk about the red blood cells specifically. The red blood cells, they are biconcave in nature. As you can observe here, it is having a thick edge, and at the middle it is thin, and if you view it under the microscope, the middle will be bright. The red blood cells, it is also flexible. That means they can squeeze themselves to pass through the tiniest blood vessel that we have in the body. The red blood cells, they have no mitochondria. As we say, mitochondria, they are the powerhouse of the cell. They use oxygen in combination with the food we take in to give us energy. So since they are using oxygen in addition to the food that we take in, that means they oxidize the food to give us energy. Because if the red blood cells is having mitochondria in it, it will make use of the oxygen that it is carrying. That's why the red blood cells doesn't have any. And the first one we have here above, they have no nucleus. The absence of that nucleus creates more space for hemoglobin. And the middle one we have here, written as, it contains hemoglobin. So the hemoglobin, it is the pigment and which the oxygen are being attached to. It is having high affinity for oxygen. They help to fight against infection in the body. It can be the like of malaria, cholera, TB, etc. And the white blood cells, it contains nucleus. While the red blood cells, we say it has no nucleus to create more space for the hemoglobin. But the white blood cells, it is having nucleus in it. And the red blood cells, they just have a lifespan of 120 days. The red blood cells, they have a lifespan of 120 days. After that, they are being destroyed in the liver. So the white blood cells is divided into granulocytes and agranulocytes. The granulocyte, they have granules. This dot you are seeing, this dot you are seeing here below this granulocyte. This neutrophil, basonophil, eosinophil, you are seeing that they have dots in them. This dot is what we call granule. So those white blood cells having granule, they are called granulocytes. So we have three of them. We have the neutrophil. This neutrophil, they help to fight against bacteria at the initial stage. And we have the basophil. The basophil, they help to fight against allergic reaction. And the eosinophil that we have here, they help to fight against parasitic infection. And mind you, how to identify it, the neutrophil, they are having 3 to 5 lobes, as this one is just having 3 lobes, 1, 2, 3 in it. And the basophil, they resemble like a bean's shape, and they are having granule in it. The eosinophil, they are having two lobes. And the A granulocyte, the A means not. So A granulocyte, they are not having any granule in it. They don't have that dot. We have two of them. We have the monocytes and we have the lymphocytes. The monocytes, they resemble just like a bean shape, as we say in the basophil, but this one is not having a granule. They help to fight against chronic infection like tuberculosis. And the lymphocytes, they help to fight against viral infection. And if you can see here, the nucleus of the lymphocyte is occupying almost the entire space of the cytoplasm. So now let's talk about blood groups. So we have various blood group types. We have blood group A, we have blood group B, we have blood group AB, and we have blood group O. Now, what determines these various blood groups that we have in the body? They are being determined by the antigen. The antigen that is found on the red blood cells determine the blood group of that person. As we have here antigen A, you can see this blood here that is being regarded as blood group A, they are just having this antigen A only. And we have this antigen here that is called antigen B. As you can see here, this blood here that we have here, B here, they just have this antigen B only on the red blood cell. And we have antigen A and antigen B. So in the blood in which we have the antigen A and antigen B, we call it blood group AB. And we have the one, a red blood cells, that is not having any of these antigen. They are regarded as blood group O. Now let's talk about antibodies that we have in relation to the antigen that we have described just now. In a person having blood group A, having the antigen A on its red blood cells, in the plasma, it has anti-B. Anti means against. So for them, they are against blood group B. So if you transfer blood group B to somebody having blood group A, it will attack it and cause what we call agglutination. They will stick together. And for a person having blood group B, they have the anti-A in their plasma. So it is against blood group A. So if you transfer blood group A in that person, what will happen? The anti-A will fight against the antigen A. Then we have blood group B. The blood group B is not having any of these anti-A and anti-B. So it is not having anti-A, it's not having anti-B. So in this case, the blood group AB can accept all the blood groups without causing any agglutination because they are not having anything that is against the other blood groups. So it is being regarded as universal recipients. And since the O is not having any antigen on it, which an antibody can react against it, it is being regarded as universal donor. So in that case, you can transfer it to any of the blood groups that we have. But mind you, there are certain exceptions. Not all blood group O that will be transferred to all the other blood groups. That one we have to discuss it next as we have it in this slide. Let's talk about the slide that we have here. There are certain things that we need to know about it before we start to talk about the concept in detail. One thing you need to know is that positive transfer blood only to a positive, and negative transfer blood to both the positive and the negative. Let me repeat it again. Positive transfer blood to only positive, but negative transfer blood to both the negative and the positive. And you have to know O is a universal donor. That means it gives blood to all the other blood group. Now we say O is a universal donor. But mind you, negative can give blood to both the negative and the positive. That's why you can see O minus here giving blood to all the other blood groups. But mind you, O positive, as we say, positive can give blood only to a positive, to another positive, but not negative. That's why you are seeing here the negative here is empty, 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 because this O positive is not allowed to give blood to them. So if you are being asked now, which one is the universal donor based on this idea, clearly you know it is O negative that is the universal donor. I know you have understood that O positive is not universal donor, but only O negative. So in that case, you have to go a little bit further for the person to know that you understand exactly what you are saying. Don't just say O. Which type of O? Is it the O negative or the O positive? And next we have this blood group B. We have B positive and B negative. As we said, B can give blood to another B, and we said AB is a universal recipient. That means it can receive blood from all of them. So in this case, B negative is donating blood to AB positive and AB negative. But the B positive that we have here will not give blood to the negative. So that's why the B positive is not giving blood to this AB negative. And we said B can give blood to another B. Since this one is negative, it is giving blood to B positive and B negative. But the positive here is allowed to give blood only to another B that is having positive, not the B that is having the negative. So that's why you are saying here the B negative here is empty, because the one giving the blood here is what? Positive. And we have the A negative. A can give blood to another A, and A can give blood to AB. And depending on the positive and the negative it has, you have to consider it as well. As we said, negative can give blood to both the negative and the positive, while the positive can give blood only to a positive. So since A is giving blood to A and is giving blood to AB, and the negative one can give blood to the A and the AB that we have called, and the A plus here can give blood only to a positive. So since the A can give blood to A and AB, so it can just give blood to the positive of them. That means the positive AB and the positive A. And the AB we have here, the greediest of all. The AB is not donating blood to any other blood group except another AB. And depending on the positive or the negative it has, AB negative can donate blood to AB positive and AB negative. And AB positive, the most greediest, can donate blood only to another AB positive, but not any other one else. You can observe AB positive is the universal recipient. That means it receives blood from all the other blood groups. But AB negative cannot receive blood to AB positive. So which one now is the universal recipient? Is it the AB negative or the AB positive? You can put that one in the comment section. Now let's talk about the type of circulation that we have. In humans, we have two types of circulation. We have systemic circulation and we have pulmonary circulation. In the pulmonary circulation, it is the circulation between the heart and the lungs only. Mind you, when the body make use of the blood, they are being transported to the heart. The heart will pump it to the lungs where they will become oxygenated, where oxygen will add to that blood, and that blood has to come back to the heart where it has to be pumped now to the rest of the body. So that circulation between the heart and the lungs only is what we call the pulmonary circulation. As pulmonary is something that is relating with the lungs and systemic. So it is the circulation between the heart and the rest of the body except the lungs. So the heart now has to pump blood to all parts of the body. After they have made use of it, they take the oxygen and make use of it. That blood has to return to the heart. So that circulation between the rest of the body cells and the heart is what we call systemic circulation. But mind you, you have to put an exception. If you just write it is circulation between the heart and the rest of the body, somebody might ask you, what about the lungs? Because the lungs is part of the body. So you have to put under systemic circulation as the circulation between the heart and the rest of the body except the lungs. While pulmonary, it is the circulation between the heart and the lungs only. So now let's talk about blood vessels. I guess we have talked about it previously in the previous slide that we talk about blood vessels. I'm going to repeat it here so you can understand well. So let's start with the color. In here, the artery, it is bright red in color. The vein is not blue. It is just in textbook or in diagram that you can see it is blue in color. The vein in reality, it is dark red in color. And the vein we have, they are closely located on the surface of the skin. While the artery, it is deeply located. That means it is located right inside. While the vein is superficially located. That means it is located very close to the surface of the skin. I'm talking about blood vessels that are found in the skin because we also have veins that are in the body. I'm talking about blood vessels that are found in the skin. And the third difference that I'm going to give you is based on which one is carrying the blood away from the heart and which one is carrying blood to the heart. So the artery, they are carrying blood away from the heart. All arteries, they carry blood away from the heart. And vein, they carry blood to the heart. And the artery, they are carrying oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery, while the vein, they are carrying deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Now let's talk about the one that we have here on the slide. The artery is having a thick wall. As you can observe it here, this is the wall of the artery. It is quite thick. And the vein, comparatively with the artery, it is having a thinner wall. And next we have here the vein, they have a valve in order to prevent backward movement of the blood. But the artery, it doesn't have a valve. And this artery, blood that are being transported in it, they are being transported under high pressure. While the vein, the blood that are being transported in the vein, they are being transported under low pressure. In fact, that is the reason they need a valve in order to prevent backward movement of the blood. And I told you just now that all arteries carry oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery, and all veins carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Now let's talk about the function of the blood. which is just the same about the function of the circulatory system. So the function of the blood, it transports oxygen and nutrients. So the food we take in, the nutrients that are being absorbed from that food, they are being transported in the blood. And even the oxygen that we take in, they are being transported in the blood. And it helps in the removal of waste. Waste like CO2, urea, creatine, they are being transported in the blood. And the blood helps to maintain the water balance with the help of a hormone called antidiuretic hormone. And the blood also helps to maintain the pH balance. It transports hormones, it transports antibodies, and we have the platelet part of the blood that is responsible for clotting and wound healing. So it is responsible for clotting and wound healing. And we have the white blood cells. They are responsible for defense. That means they are responsible for immunity. As you can see, we have WBC, white blood cell. So now let's talk about the mammalian heart in detail. Although it will not be in detail as we have to talk about all the cells and everything, how it beats, SA node and the rest. No, that we are not going to talk about it. They are not part of your syllabus and I'm not going to that extent for this tutorial. So the mammalian heart is made up of four chambers. We have the right atrium and we have the left atrium, and we have the right ventricle and we have the left ventricle. So how many chambers are we having? Four. What are they? We have the right atrium and the left atrium, and we have the right ventricle and the left ventricle, and we have a septum. This is what we call the septum, this one here, separating this oxygenated blood, the blood that is having this red color, and the deoxygenated blood according to this picture here, the one having this blue color. So the septum, it separates the right part of the heart from the left part, or we can say it separates oxygenated blood from deoxygenated blood. And between the atrium and the ventricle, we have a valve here that is separating the blood that is in the atrium from the ventricle. Between the right atrium and the right ventricle, that valve that is found here, it is called tricuspid valve because it is made up of three. That's why we call it tricuspid valve. It is made up of three cups. And we have a valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and that valve is called bicuspid valve, or sometimes they call it mitral valve. Now we have two veins that are carrying blood to the heart, and the blood they are returning to the heart through the right atrium. Blood return to the heart through the right atrium. And we have two main veins that are carrying blood to the heart. All the used blood that we have, which are found below the heart, when the part that are below the heart, when they make use of the blood, they return that blood back to the heart through the inferior vena cava. And all the part that we have above the heart, they return blood back to the heart through the superior vena cava, as superior means above, inferior means below. Now, when this blood enters the heart, it has a pathway that it has to follow, which we have to talk about it in the next slide coming. We have another two verbs which I almost forget about them. They are also very, very important. So one is the pulmonary verb. This pulmonary valve is found between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. And we have another valve that is called the aorta. So the aortic valve, mind you, it is found between the aorta and the left ventricle. So the valve between the aorta and the left ventricle is called aortic valve. These two, the aortic valve and the pulmonary valve, they are referred to as semilunar valves. And the tricuspid and bicuspid valve, they are referred to as atrioventricular valve. I repeat it again. The tricuspid valve and the mitral, also called bicuspid valve, both of them, they are referred to as atrioventricular valve. And mind you, it is the aorta and the pulmonary artery that are carrying blood away from the heart. And it is the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava that are returning blood, the used blood, that means the deoxygenated blood, back to the heart through the right atrium. The blood that is coming from the lungs, they enter through the left atrium. Listen well. The oxygenated blood that is coming from the lungs, they return to the heart through the left atrium. Now let's talk about the stages of the heartbeat. Then we'll talk about how the blood is moving in the heart. So we have two stages. We have the systolic stage and we have the diastolic stage. So in the systolic stage, what happens? The ventricle has to contract to pump blood out of the heart. In the diastolic stage, which we call the diastole, the ventricle has to relax while the atrium will contract to pump blood into the ventricle. Let me repeat this one again for the last time. In the systolic stage, called the systole, the ventricle has to contract to pump blood out of the heart. In the diastolic stage, called the diastole, the ventricle has to relax and the atrium contract to pump blood into the ventricle. If you are listening to the heart, it produces two sounds. We have the loop and the doop, loop, doop, loop, doop, based on the valve that is open. Now, in some cases, you will hear a sound that we have an hissing like s. After you have loop, you have a sound like s. That tells you that there have been a problem with the valve. At rest, the heart will beat about 72 times per minute at rest. But when you are doing an exercise, the heart rate can increase more than that. Now let's talk about the movement of blood within the heart. So mind you, we have the inferior vena cava that is coming with the blood below the heart, and we have superior vena cava that is coming with the blood above the heart. They will enter into the right atrium and they will be pumped into the right ventricle and they will be pumped into the pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery will carry them into the lungs and they will return back to the heart through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. From the left atrium, they are being pumped into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, they will be pumped into the aorta. From the aorta, they will be pumped to the rest of the body cells. So that is how all the body cells now they will receive this oxygenated blood. And you will be asked, oxygenated blood return to the heart through which part of the chamber? It is through the left atrium. And the oxygenated blood return to the heart through which part of the chamber? The oxygenated, the return blood through the right atrium. This maintain life by ensuring nutrients, oxygen reaches their target cells, and after they have reached their target cells, they make use of it, and the waste they produce will move from their site of production where they are being produced to their site of excretion. Thank you very much.